25 years ago, the National Imagery and Mapping Agency was created by combining the responsibilities of 8 distinct organizations into a unified whole. Considered by some at the time to be the greatest intelligence community transformation since the signing of the National Security Act of 1947, NIMA emerged at a time of heightened change and opportunity. It was the 1990s, a decade that saw the end of the Cold War and concurrently the rise of digital technology. National security and intelligence leaders looked to adapt to meet the challenges of a global strategic landscape that had changed from the bipolar world of the Cold War. At the start of the decade, the Gulf War challenged the New World Order and the intelligence community. While the military campaign in the Gulf was highly successful, it highlighted intelligence shortfalls with regards to imagery, targeting, and battle damage assessments.
One of the shortcomings we found is that we just don't have an immediately responsive intelligence capability that will give the theater commander near real-time information that he personally needs to make a decision. When our pilots were to go out and to hit a target, they generally have an aerial photograph in their lap that was no more than 24 hours old of exactly what it was they were going to hit. We didn't have that capability in this, and that's what we mean by tactical intelligence. That's real-time intelligence that's available to the theater commander or the subordinate commanders.
Numerous studies were conducted and congressional hearings were held. Out of these debates, the concept of a unified imagery and mapping agency took shape. The driving force behind the concept was Keith Hall, then serving as Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, who lobbied hard to convince others of the concept's value. While everyone recognized the problem, however, no one could agree on the solution. Most notably, Colin Powell, then chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who had concerns about including mapping. A compromise was reached in 1992 with the establishment of the Central Imagery Office. This small organization was meant to consolidate a select number of imagery functions and responsibilities from across the intelligence community in order to meet the shortfalls uncovered in the Gulf War. It failed, however, to gain the policy and resource authority necessary to enact real change. Other attempts to meet the shortfalls of the Gulf War included the establishment, in 1993, of the Defense Airborne Reconnaissance Office, a Department of Defense entity meant to address all joint military and DoD requirements for intelligence, including the development of technology to enhance imagery analysis. Despite these efforts, a more unified solution to the intelligence shortfalls of the Gulf War was still needed. In 1995, the stalemate ended when incoming Director of Central Intelligence, John Deutsch, stated his intention to combine imagery and mapping.
I will move immediately to consolidate the management of all imagery, collection, analysis, and distribution. In my judgment, both effectiveness and economy can be improved by managing imagery in a manner similar to the National Security Agency's Organization for Signals Intelligence.
The National Imagery and Mapping Agency was established on October 1, 1996, authorized by Congress with the passage of the National Defense Authorization Act, and signed into law September 23, 1996, by President William J. Clinton. At its stand-up, under Director Rear Admiral Jack D'Antone, Jr., NIMA had many inherited organizational and cultural challenges to overcome.
The big issue was the Department of Defense was worried about the intelligence community taking away their map-making capability, and the intelligence community was worried about the Department of Defense taking away their imagery analysis capability. That notion had to be dispelled before we could really move ahead. Literally, the week after we were stood up, sat down with the leadership, and I said, all right, let's have the parties, but let's get through that, because it won't be long when the knives would come out. And I said, the only way we're going to be defended from those knives is to be defended by our customers. So focus on our customers.
Despite these challenges, the agency wasted no time in making its mark. In its first year alone, NIMA supported a presidential inauguration, provided international assistance in response to wildfires in Indonesia, initiated a groundbreaking pilot program to join imagery analysis and geospatial operations, and partnered with NASA to produce the Earth Gravitational Model 96, which significantly enhanced the World Geodetic System 84. NIMA achieved these groundbreaking efforts thanks to its dedicated workforce, which was located at sites across the globe, with major locations in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area and St. Louis, Missouri. In 1998, NIMA expanded to include a state-of-the-art data center in Arnold, Missouri. Under Director Lieutenant General James King, who assumed command on March 13, 1998, NIMA continued to increase its mission scope, building a reputation for innovation and excellence. This included the debut of NIMA in a Box, an on-the-spot imagery and geospatial information system for deployed units that proved critical to campaigns like Operation Allied Force and the production and distribution of digital nautical data, such as sailing directions and digital nautical charts that were hailed as a revolution in maritime navigation. NIMA products and expertise also had a growing customer impact, providing critical support to everything from international conflicts such as the resolution of a long-standing border dispute between Peru and Ecuador, global scientific research on topics like climate change in the Arctic, and humanitarian and disaster relief efforts. One crucial endeavor of the early years was the Shuttle Radar Topography mission, in partnership with NASA and the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. SRTM mapped most of the globe, creating seamless digital terrain elevation data that remains a cornerstone of geospatial mapping and measurement today.
SRTM was one of the best geospatial information intelligence collection resources that had been used in the history of intelligence and mapping. It was able then to provide that near global mapping of the Earth that supported not only intelligence needs, but we were then able to also provide products to search and rescue and other areas in the academic and civil world that needed the same type of information to protect American lives.
On September 11, 2001, the nation and the world was faced with a new reality that tested the resolve and capabilities of NIMA, still a relatively young agency. Just 2 days after the terror attacks, NIMA welcomed its first civilian director, retired Lieutenant General James C. Clapper, Jr., in an understated ceremony. Director Clapper led the agency's efforts to safeguard homeland security and support the war on terror, Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. This included the deployment of NIMA support teams, or NSTs, who brought combat support directly to the warfighter, as well as standing up NIMA's Homeland Security Office, which pioneered domestic partnerships to combat previously unimaginable homeland threats. It also included the proposal for a new NIMA campus located within a 50-mile radius of the Pentagon that would provide modernized capabilities and enhanced efficiencies, enabling the workforce to meet the needs of the nation with greater agility and accuracy. As the nation went to war, NIMA began to restructure for what Director Clapper called now, next, and after next, initiating a wide-ranging transformation effort in 2003 to meet the rapidly evolving challenges of global terrorism. In the midst of war and fast-paced change, NIMA still continued to provide critical support to a variety of missions, ranging from special event security at the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City, Utah, to the response and recovery effort following the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster. With President George W. Bush's signing of the 2004 Defense Authorization Bill, NIMA was renamed the National Geospatial-Intelligence Agency, a reflection of new geospatial products and an evolving collective identity.
The transformation of NGA from NIMA is a journey. I asked the leadership, is it time to stop singing Amazing Grace at the wake of DMA and NINPIC? And let's meld these organizations, because the two were separate. They were under the banner of NIMA, but they were, from a production standpoint, were two separate structures, two separate bureaucracies. Even the name, NIMA, perpetuated the division, the National Imagery and Mapping Agency, as though those were two separate endeavors. And so that was Okay, we're going to buy into the notion of GEOINT, and ergo, we need to change the name of the agency. And the consensus was, yes, we should do that. And so that's what led to the seeking of legislation to change the name and buying into the notion of GEOINT.
NGA continued to prioritize transformation, including efforts to integrate advances in technology and commercial imagery, as well as innovation. This was evident in its 2005 support during and after Hurricane Katrina, which included the first ever domestic deployment of the Mobile Integrated Geospatial-Intelligence System. On July 7, 2006, NGA welcomed its fourth director, Vice Admiral Robert B. Moret, who recognized the need to stay agile by advancing revolutionary partnerships and technologies. To meet these goals, NGA moved toward a service-oriented architecture that favored web-based services and strengthened collaborative relationships, including foreign partners in over 120 countries. NGA also moved closer to fulfilling its commitment to provide a new, modernized headquarters with the September 25, 2006 groundbreaking of NGA Campus East, or NCE, at Fort Belvoir, Virginia, a momentous step toward maintaining the geospatial intelligence advantage. In July of 2008, President George W. Bush would formally recognize GEOINT as an intelligence discipline and affirm NGA's place within the intelligence community. In this period, NGA provided critical support to natural disasters, including the 2010 Haiti earthquake, humanitarian assistance in regions like Darfur, and crisis support to events like the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. NGA deployers provided critical on-the-ground support to many of these missions, including direct support to warfighters in Iraq and Afghanistan.
There was a tremendous willingness by the NGA workforce to move out in some of the toughest missions we had. They were able to get in to the mission space of so many key people that help us out with our national security and that of our key allies. I think during the period I was the director, what we did as a team was to work extremely effectively with the leadership group that we had there at NGA, that we responded as effectively as possible to the challenges of the time and looking to the future based on strategic threats that we've got to the United States. That we did focus outward and embedded ourselves with other organizations to provide them the best possible support they could have from NGA, but that was very much a team effort.
In 2010, NGA made history with the appointment of Ms. Letitia Long, the first woman to lead a major intelligence agency. Under her leadership, NGA unveiled a new vision for the future to put the power of GEOINT into the user's hands. To achieve this vision, NGA would move to provide online, on-demand access to GEOINT and enhance tradecraft by broadening its analytic expertise in fields like human geography and the analysis of cultural and activity-based factors including language, religion, transportation, and land use. The power of GEOINT was on full display in May 2011 with the successful raid on Osama bin Laden's compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan.
I'll never forget this day. It was about 2 weeks after I had become the director, and my executive assistant came in and he said, "Ma'am, the head of analysis and a couple of analysts are here to see you. I know they don't have an appointment, but it's really important." So they came in, we closed the door, and that's when they laid out some imagery of the compound and said, "We think this is where bin Laden is." I was speechless. The compound was very different than anything else in the area. The president approved the operation that occurred. NGA was very involved also in the planning of the operation. So very proud of the work that was done across the whole agency and of course across the community. I mean, it's a great example of working as an integrated team.
NGA achieved another milestone on September 26, 2011, with the official opening of its new headquarters. This state-of-the-art facility provided a secure, collaborative environment and modern information technology infrastructure, as well as co-located watch centers, including the NGA Operations Center and Time Dominant Operations Center, all of which allowed NGA to achieve a more dynamic mission effectiveness. As the agency worked to achieve its new vision, it continued to meet the increasingly complex needs of the 21st century. This complexity was demonstrated during NGA support to Operation Tomodachi, the U.S. government's response to the 2011 Japanese earthquake and tsunami, which included the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant. Meeting 21st century requirements also meant a greater emphasis on environmental concerns. This included everything from the first ever census of emperor penguins in Antarctica to playing a critical role in combating wildlife poaching and trafficking. NGA's evolution continued under its next director, Mr. Robert Cardillo, who was sworn in on October 17, 2014. Recognizing the seismic shift happening in geospatial intelligence, particularly related to the rise of big data, small satellites, and the impact of social media and mobile devices, Director Cardillo focused Team NGA on prioritizing customer consequence and enhancing transparency. NGA's response to the Ebola epidemic in Western Africa demonstrated the way forward with production of the agency's first ever publicly available website for disaster support.
As the world becomes more and more transparent, NGA needs to move into a space that takes advantage of that transparency and takes what will be common data and use it in uncommon ways. Part of my intent in crafting the Succeed in the Open was to build on that success. It wasn't like we were moving from failure to success. We're moving from success to success. It's just in a different environment.
Building on the themes of customer support and transparency, the agency soon announced Next NGA West, or N2W, a purpose-built modern facility that would replace the 19th century arsenal site known as NGA Campus West in St. Louis, Missouri. In December 2018, Director Cardillo joined the Mayor of St. Louis and others in the ceremonial signing of a land transfer agreement. This marked the 97-acre site in North St. Louis, which would bring NGA into close proximity with partners across industry and academia. NGA welcomed its 7th director on February 7, 2019. In his first year, Vice Admiral Robert Sharp focused agency efforts on emerging trends like AAA, artificial intelligence, automation, and augmentation, in order to put NGA out front on cutting-edge innovation. Vice Admiral Sharp also oversaw the N2W groundbreaking on November 26, 2019 in St. Louis.
We're grateful to our partners across the region and in Congress. We're indebted to the people of this community, this city, and this region for your sacrifice and support, and we're honored to be a part of the St. Louis family.
1 month later, the first known case of COVID-19 was reported. By March 2020, NGA and the world went into lockdown. In response to the developing global pandemic, NGA teammates worked around the clock to support the crisis while keeping the workforce safe and sustaining mission needs. This included an unprecedented shift to telework capabilities, achieved in record time, that fast-tracked NGA's evolution toward becoming a more open, collaborative agency.
I've been really proud of the way that the workforce has responded to the challenges of the pandemic, not only initially, but as it continued. And early on, we set our North Star as taking all actions necessary to protect and preserve our force and our families, to explore new ways of doing business, to reimagine how we could provide trusted GEOINT where and when needed, while continuing to meet the mission-critical needs of our nation. 25 years seems like a long time, and it seems like a short time all at once. And I can remember the technology that was available to us at the beginning, and I look at where we've come in 25 years and the advances in the timeliness, pushing GEOINT out to the tactical edge and putting it in the hands of the users. I've been really impressed to see what's been accomplished over the last couple of decades, and I'm looking forward to seeing what occurs in the next 25 years as well.
Teammates began a phased return to NGA sites in June 2020 as part of the data-driven Reimagine, Reconstitution, and Recovery Plan, known as R3, which encouraged the workforce to consider how innovations developed in response to COVID-19 could be reimagined as part of the agency's future. Despite the pandemic, NGA continued to push the boundaries of GEOINT, building partnerships and fostering innovations that would secure its GEOINT supremacy amidst a reinvigorated great power competition. Forward-focused efforts included an education partnership agreement with Harris-Stowe State University to ensure the next generation of GEOINT professionals, the establishment of Moonshot Labs, the agency's first-ever unclassified collaborative space, and the introduction of the Director's Intent and Moonshot, prioritizing an urgent and decisive reorientation of the GEOINT community to meet the growing threat of adversarial powers. Despite the extraordinary and all-encompassing impacts of COVID-19, NGA has continued to meet and exceed the ever-changing needs of the nation. As we celebrate the establishment of NIMA and the agency's 25th anniversary, we have the chance to reflect on where we've been and the people and partners who've helped us to get where we are today. It's also a chance to reimagine where we're going. No matter what challenges the future brings, Team NGA will be ready to know the Earth, understand the world, and show the way.